Good morning, Sooner Nation and college football faithful. It is game day, and college football is back in the U.S. Guys, I'm so excited to be here. I'm your host, Joseph Quinton, as always, joined by Colin Kennedy, Madeline Roberts, and Josh Calloway. Ooh. How do you guys feeling? It's the first real week.
It's game day, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
It's about time we get this thing kicked off, man. It's 2018 season. I'm ready to go.
Long time coming. It feels great outside right now. I think it's going to get a little bit warmer.
Yeah, it's going to be hot.
Time, but right now we're comfortable outside. It feels good.
Yeah, I'm be sweating buckets at this game here in a little bit. But no, long off season from the Rose Bowl. Finally get to see another game, so I'm excited about it.
And it was a good season for OU last year. We know they were 2 games away from being immortalized in college football lore as national champions.
Yeah.
And they were just so close, but yet so far. So before we get into it, I just really want to know what you guys had to think about last year. If you had any general thoughts before we start talking about this year, which is what we need to be talking about.
Well, you know, a lot of things last season stood out. It was a crazy season, obviously. Baker Mayfield, a great year they had in the Rose Bowl game, obviously. But I think the main thing going to this year from last year that the takeaway is the emergence of Rodney Anderson as maybe the next great OU running back. Yeah. And Lincoln Riley was asked the other day, is he in the same breath as, P. Ryan, Mixon, the other great ones that Lincoln Riley has had since he came to OU? And he said, oh, absolutely, 100%. And I think Rodney Anderson now this year has got some Heisman buzz to him. I think that's the biggest thing going into this season is they now have a full-blown #1 running back who's a Heisman candidate. Rodney Anderson was a huge storyline for me last season.
He really emerged kind of at the midpoint of the season. Obviously, they didn't really have a settled running back. It was kind of Sermon, and you didn't really have an obvious choice. Abdul Adams was kind of the guy for a little bit, but of course, they finally found him really around the Texas game, and he was a star.
I'm excited to see what he'll do as the go-to guy this year.
Yeah,
Should be interesting.
I mean, he was statistically the best running back in the country once he started coming on, so great stuff to look
Dark
at.
horse.
Once he got that job, he was the guy, and he was one of the best running backs in the country by a lot. So excited to see what he does with the full season as the #1 guy.
Madeline?
Well, my storyline is a bit more broad than that. It's on the other side of the ball. And, I mean, I wouldn't call this a problem just last season. It's been a problem for a while for the Sooners. It's just their defensive struggles. I'll rattle off some stats for you. Last year, they ranked 67 in total defense. Really not great. If you think about it, it's kind of surprising that they were in the college football playoff with that bad of a defense. They gave up 27 points per game. Their red zone defense, they were 103 out of 129, 130 teams. They were 103 in red zone defense, so got to get better on that. They were 54 in rush defense. They were 80th in passing yards given up, 238 passing yards given up per game. I mean, you talk about their season ended in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
They were at 31-17 at the end of that first half in that Rose Bowl, and then they just let Georgia come storming back. Couldn't hold on in overtime. Double overtime, they lost the game, obviously. So, I mean, this year, you look for Mike Stoops to really turn this team around. I think they have more established guys at corner and safety this year. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But, yeah, look for the defense to really step up and be better this year.
Oh, so negative. Such a negative storyline.
It's true.
Downer, college football is
I know. Now I'm
excited. The offense was #1. The offense was #1.
No, anytime you score 48 points in the Rose Bowl against a team that's not known for their offense and you lose, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
Honestly.
Definitely should be addressed as early as possible.
I would hope.
I think it's a good topic to start the season off with.
Only can go up from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
All
agree
right.
with you, Madeline. I mean, that defense was young, too, so it's going to be interesting to see. I'm sure you'll talk about this, how they evolve heading into this next season. All right, for me, guys, I'm going to go ahead and address the obvious here. Baker Mayfield, you know that guy that's played quarterback here?
I think I've heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Sounds familiar.
Now, but of course, looking back on the era of Baker Mayfield, this guy was unbelievable, to put it lightly. Let's go ahead and knock it down. Second in FBS passing efficiency all time. That's in all of football.
That's pretty good.
I think that's pretty good as well. Also set FBS record for consecutive games with 2 touchdown passes. Had about 27 straight games of 2 throws for scores. But of course, I could go through so many other stats, so many awards that he's won. Was a unanimous first-team All-American. He won that Heisman Trophy. It's a pretty big award. I'm sure you've heard of it. But I want to look back, and I really want to address what this guy meant to this football team, not only with his play on his field, but also what he meant as a leader. I mean, this guy, when you really look back at what he did last season, he was able to rally his troops early and often, lead them into the battlefield without any hesitancy. And I think that that's something that will really go underappreciated in the era of Baker Mayfield, because I don't think that we've seen a leader here at the University of Oklahoma like Baker ever.
Yeah.
No one rallied around a guy until they saw Baker step onto the football field and say, all right, let's go. And suddenly everyone was ready to play some football. I mean, all the awards, all the stats, they speak for themselves. But one thing that really stood out to me that when I look back at what all Baker Mayfield has done, his leadership qualities, second to none. Really, really outstanding stuff.
Yeah, that's actually it's what's concerning the most about the team this year is not
Right.
replacing him from a production standpoint, because that offense is still going to be great. Kyler Murray's going to be great. It's the leadership part of it that really concerns me. I don't know who's going to emerge as the leader of the team. Is Kyler ready for that? Will it be somebody else? I don't know. I don't know if the team has that emotional leader. They have a guy who can just be, everybody can rally around.
Yeah,
like
it was
the same
interesting
way.
when we went to Big 12 Media Days, the big storyline. I mean, Lincoln Riley, all the players that I talked about it. Who's going to lead us? And I don't think it really hit me how much of a leader Baker was for this team until, they talked about how that was such a big focus this offseason. We're trying to find our leaders.
I
And realized
agree
how
with you,
important
yeah.
it was.
It feels like there's like that missing piece. This is a very good team because of the recruiting class, but at the same time you think, well, how do you replace not just Baker, but all of the turnover from last year? I mean, 3 unanimous All-Americans on offense, that's
Yeah.
unprecedented. To be the first college football program to do that,
Yeah.
it is going to be tough for OU to honestly come back here and have the same pedigree as they did last year. Not saying they can't, but that's going to be one of the biggest things. It's a lot of turnover going to this season. So I want to fast forward today and talk about what you guys think is going to be the biggest thing OU fans and OU Nation should look out for this coming season. Josh?
I'm gonna take a card from Malin here. I'm gonna be pessimistic. I think that Devin Singletary, Florida Atlantic's outstanding running back, who's maybe a dark horse Heisman. We'll see. That'd be hard to do, obviously, from a small school like Florida Atlantic. But
Right.
how he does today, because last time we saw this OU defense, it was in the Rose Bowl, and Georgia just ran everywhere they wanted to all game long. The game ended on a long touchdown run in the overtime of the Rose Bowl. I don't know how they're going to stop him today, and it really concerns me for OU that he is going to have a monstrous game, and it's going to open up the passing game for them. I think that's what I'm looking at. That's the thing that catches my eye. I know the offense is going to get their points. It's how they stop Florida Atlantic, and specifically how they're going to stop Devin Singletary. I think he's going to have a huge game, and that's what's going to keep Florida Atlantic, I think, hanging around in this game till middle to late second half. It's just they're going to have a monster run game today. I don't know if they can stop Devin Singletary. That's what I'm looking at.
Devin Singletary, 32 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, that's pretty
32.
good.
Yeah,
That sounds
that's,
pretty good to me.
That was one of the best in the country for sure. But of course, Oklahoma's defense was also very infamous for giving up plenty of runs, as you said. And so
Yeah.
they're gonna have to adjust early and often, and it's all about getting off.
All season, even like the Tulane game with the triple option, like they had problems stopping the run. It's not been any part of the offense, but run especially. The D-line has gotten dominated by good offensive lines and running backs this past season and years past. So we'll see if how Devin Singletary does today. I think he's going to have a big game.
All right, Madeline?
I'm going to go the other side of the defense. I'm going to say the secondary needs to really step it up today. Now, I mean, FAU last year, they were a big rushing team. 52 rushing touchdowns, only 21 passing TDs. But I think that's going to grow this year. That number's going to grow as their offense has emerged. So look for the secondary. I mean, you got Brandon Radley-Hiles. We hear a lot about him. Buki. I mean, Coach Mike Stoops said earlier this week, he said, look for him to maybe play some time at safety and at corner. And he's just going to be all over the field, all over the defense. Look for him to make a big impact today. There's only one senior in this secondary, Khalil Houghton, who hasn't got a lot of playing time. He's actually going to start. At free safety, you got redshirt freshman Justin Broyles, who we've heard a lot about this offseason. I'm excited to see him work. Starting at strong safety, Trey Norwood, Parnell Molly at the corners. So, I mean, those guys are obviously experienced. Lost Stephen Parker, lost Will Johnson, yes. So, I mean, the secondary's really going to have to step up. I think I see them being better than last year. I really do.
Yeah.
I
Even
agree.
with,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that only one senior, they're a young team, relying on a freshman and a redshirt freshman, but I think they're going to be good this year.
I think the secondary would be a lot better. Get Jordan Parker back from injury, too. That's big.
Yeah, and just one little side storyline that sort of follows up on both of your points is that the defense is going to focus a little bit more on the 4-2-5 today. That's what Mike Stoops has emphasized. And, of course, they want to find ways to get Buki on the field. He's going to play some strong safety, some nickel back, some corner. They also want to put 4 down linemen down there and stop the run, as you mentioned, Josh. And so with the 4-2-5 sort of being incorporated today, something to keep an eye out on. But, of course, for me, Joe, I addressed one obvious storyline today, so I'm going to address the second one. And this one's a big one that everyone is anticipating. An era is over in Baker Mayfield. A new era begins. Kyler Murray. What does he do? We have to find out. We're going to find out today. Now, obviously, if you don't really know what this dude did in high school, he never lost a game. He threw for 10,000 yards, and he also ran for another 4,000. One of the best players in high school football history in the state of Texas, maybe in high school football ever. And then, of course, when he first got his first start at Texas A&M, he went absolutely off on South Carolina. Okay, 223 yards passing, 20 of 28, and also ran for a good 156 on the ground with a score. And everyone thought he's here. He has arrived at college football. Then, of course, the roller coaster started, right? And the ups and downs of the college football career started to hit him. And now he's sat out for all this time, and he's waited for his chance. And, of course, in the limited time we saw him last year, there were flashes. 18 of 21, okay, 359 yards through the air.
and he's already averaging a first down every time he runs forward. What happens now? He wasn't the guy last year, and he was able to come in and have great success. Will he have similar success to his start in A&M? Will he have similar success last season when he got his chances? I can't wait to find out, guys.
Oh, yeah. Only at the University of Oklahoma do you take a guy like Baker Mayfield, who had just a ton of circus around him, and you replace him with a guy who's going to have a lot of circus around him as well, because whether it's the replacing Baker storyline, the A&M storyline, the high school prodigy storyline, the baseball storyline, which one you want to pick, there's so much going on with Kyler Murray. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how he handles it.
One thing won't change, and that's the media circus surrounding Oklahoma's quarterback. Last year, Baker Mayfield, that dude couldn't walk without 20 cameras on him. And now, with Kyler Murray being drafted and being the prodigy that he is, being the star athlete, still going to be a zoo.
This goes back to what we were saying about the the leadership thing, is that Baker is perfect for that. He's got the personality. He welcomes that. Kyler's more of a soft-spoken guy.
Exactly.
He doesn't talk a lot whenever we talk to him in pressers and stuff. I don't know if he's got the personality for that.
That's
Maybe
what I was going to bring up. I mean, Baker Mayfield, his personality is what created all these storylines, just his personality. But when it comes to Kyler Murray, I mean, he doesn't really have a really strong personality. It's these storylines around him. So I'm interested to see, the difference between those dynamics.
So I want to ask one last question before we get out of this block.
Okay.
You guys have covered media days. You've covered all of the pressers, and you did this last year too. So I want to know what you guys think about how the players are reacting to Kyler being that de facto leader this year. Almost. Are you seeing this very much, or what's going on there?
I mean, for me, to lead it off, I think it's a little bit subdued. I think, obviously, a lot of Sooner fans are overblowing this, and obviously everyone wants to see what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But for these guys, he's just another player on this football team. Obviously, they know the pedigree. They know what he brings to the table. He's a special athlete, a gifted player, and a talent that few have seen in college football. But he's just one of their buds. He's one of the guys. And they all know what he can potentially do, but they don't want to overhype him and suddenly put extra expectations on his shoulders. I think that right now, they're not trying to overdo it, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't consider him to be the leader. So right now, at least. I mean, maybe it'll come in time, but I would think more like Rodney Anderson's the guy who steps in that kind of role. Maybe like a Bobby Evans on the line or something. I don't know if Kyler's got that role on the team just yet. Maybe he will. Maybe he does, and we just don't see it really. But from what I can tell, he doesn't have it yet.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the players expected him to be named starter. I mean, even though it was just named very recently, I think it was kind of, players and fans alike kind of saw it coming. And so I think they've been kind of mentally in their head ready for, even if it was Austin Kittle starting quarterback, they know that, the program is in good hands with whichever guy was the starter, and they know that Kyler, is going to do a good job.
Well, when you have that pool to pick from, it's kind of hard to be mad when you're the Oklahoma Sooners.
Right.
But that will conclude our first block. Stick around. We'll get deeper into OU coverage right when we get back. Welcome back to GamedayU. Yeah, no. Okay, so I'm just looking at the script. Some preseason bumps. We all got a little obstacles. It's not just the Sooners.
Give us some time.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to GamedayU. As we said, we're going to get right back into it with OU football, but we have one thing before we're going to go. We're going to do our Today in OU History segment led by Spencer Royce. So take it away.
Murray's in the slot. Joe John Finley in motion from left to right. So the right side is fake. Here's the end around. Murray, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15-10-5. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
On this day in Sooner football history, we flash back to opening week of the 2007 season. Although the Sooners were matched up with the weak North Texas team, this game marked the beginning of Sam Bradford and DeMarco Murray's careers in Norman. The dynamic duo did not disappoint as they helped OU combine for 668 offensive yards and piled up 79, I'll say it again, 79 points. The future Heisman-winning Bradford threw for 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, and DeMarco Murray crossed the goal line 5 times for the Crimson and Cream. September 1st, 2007 was the day Sooner faithful learned just how special their next few seasons could be with these two workhorses manning their offense. To go along with that prolific offensive performance, OU was just as stout on the defensive end, allowing just 10 points and 15 total rushing yards, an overall terrible day to be a part of North Texas. Spring forward 11 years and Kyler Murray is making his first official start as the QB1 for Oklahoma. Hopefully today is another day to remember in Sooner football history.
Thank you, Spencer. All right, guys, this is the biggest thing that we were talking about last time. They had to replace the quarterbacks, and obviously we know who's going to be started going into week 1. And as I said before, OU's in a good position. They recruit well. They have great guys here. Kyler's phenomenal. Austin would have been phenomenal. But it's still a question that's going to be asked throughout the entire year. What happens if Kyler underperforms? What happens if there's like a bad play? what is going to be happening here, because this is kind of one of the bigger battles within college football. So I'm just going to let you lead this off. I just want you to talk about what we have to see here. Is it overblown? Is it a real story? What?
Well, first of all, I think that it's relatively just in the fact that this is a storyline that a lot of people want to follow. Obviously, whoever's going to be the starting quarterback for the University of Oklahoma is something everyone wants to know, especially after you're coming off a year where you had one of the best quarterbacks, not only in OU football history, but potentially in college football history, just play for you. So
I think we should absolutely say college football history.
Yeah, I think so. And so obviously everyone wants to know who the guy is, and everyone's going to talk about it, who should be the guy, who they think would be the guy. But I think they made the right decision. And, I mean, look, you're not going to sit Kyler Murray after he came back after being drafted 9th overall by the Rays. You're not going to sit him. And on top of that, for me personally, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think they made the right call. Kyler Murray is the better athlete. Kyler Murray is the far superior player. In the limited time I've seen Austin Kendall, I haven't been relatively impressed. But I think Kyler Murray brings an added element to this offense that Austin Kendall cannot, and that's open up things with his legs and put pressure on the defense and make them focus on things that they may not have to worry about when Austin Kendall's in there. I think it's relatively just to talk about it, but it's also really interesting in the fact that they made the right decision, I think, and it's all going to play out today.
It's tough for me to gauge, how much better is Kyler Murray really than Austin Kendall.
Right.
I mean, I think the fact that Lincoln Riley waited so long to name Kyler the starter speaks a little bit to how good and how much Austin's game has emerged. Now, I mean, like you mentioned it, Murray signed that deal with a multi-million-dollar deal, mind you, with the A's. So is he really going to come back if Lincoln tells him, hey, you might not be the starter? Was Lincoln just messing with the media? I mean, was he just trying to wait out as long as possible just to, I don't know, for whatever reason he wanted to do that? Or did he have in his mind the whole time, Kyler's going to be our starter, Kyler's going to be our guy. Why would Kyler come back and play football? I mean, unless he just really has a heart for the game, which he probably does. Why would you come back when you're guaranteed that money and you can play right now? I mean, I don't know. I think if Kyler underperforms, I think Austin will be ready to step up. I truly do think that Lincoln maybe did think about for a little bit not starting Kyler. As much as that is difficult for me to say, it's kind of hard for me to believe. From talking to Lincoln, he really seemed genuine in that. He really wasn't sure at that point, pretty early on in the offseason.
Do you have an example from the conversations?
I think Lincoln Riley is very genuine. I think he's very genuine with the media in a way that maybe Bob Stoops wasn't.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, maybe he's a good liar. I don't know. I don't know him super well, obviously, but just from talking to him and just asking him, who's the starter going to be? Like, and I mean, why haven't you decided yet? He just seemed very, very genuine in that he was like, both these guys are like impressing me.
Right.
Both these guys, I think, could do it. And even when he named Kyler the starter, he said, I would fully trust this offense in the hands of both guys.
Yeah, and real quick before Josh takes it away, I want to also mention that on the day that Kyler Murray was named the starter, you almost got a sense that Lincoln Riley was a little bit upset. He was kind of standoffish that day, Josh.
Yeah.
You remember? He had a weird vibe around him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was kind of testy that day.
Yeah.
See, I kind of disagree, though. I think Lincoln was lying his pants off the whole time. There's no way
It's hard to say.
Kyler Murray was not going to start the entire – like, I would have been floored if Kyler Murray did not start. I mean, just from even in January, when Baker's leaving, they asked him, you think Kyler's ready to take over for it? He was like, yeah, he'll break all my records. Yeah, like, in January, Baker's saying that. He's delaying his multi-million-dollar deal with the A's to come play with OU for a year. I mean, he could be with the A's right now. He could be a September call-up right now if he wanted. There was no way, in my opinion, that Kyler Murray was not going to start. He's definitely better. He's not going to come back. Now, next year's quarterback battle is really interesting.
Yeah.
I think he kind of said that. I think he told Austin Kendall, you're in this battle, trying to keep him engaged in practice and stuff, because he maybe wants to start Kendall next year. That's somewhat realistic, maybe. Maybe didn't want to have him exploring transfer options too much. I don't know. But I would have been, like I said, just absolutely floored if Kyler Murray did not start. And I think Lincoln always was going to start Kyler Murray, unless it was just really lopsided one direction. I mean, Kyler Murray was the guy. We all knew when he transferred here, we knew he was going to be the guy. So
it almost begs the question, was this more of a play to keep Austin Kendall in the mix and not let him transfer? Or was this to motivate Kyler Murray?
Maybe a little bit of that, yeah.
Maybe to motivate Kyler because, look,
I guess
obviously,
yeah.
I don't think that the whole storyline of, Kyler Murray's heart may not be in it. I think that's complete BS. This guy has left the game.
You don't think about that when you're playing the game.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be like, I don't want to run.
Forever. But was this to make sure that Kyler Murray didn't walk in here and think, all right, this is my job? We don't know.
A little bit, yeah.
We will never know what happened in those
I don't like
practices.
to think of Lincoln Riley as playing games, though.
Yeah, that seems a
and playing in
little
people's
above
minds
him.
like that.
You know what I mean? Like, I just can't imagine him doing that. But rightfully so, we are having this conversation, but at the same time, they are not the only two people within the OU sphere. They've got a lot of other players on that team, a lot of great players at that, and they have plenty to say about their beginning of the year. So, take it away. Here are the guys talking.
Finally here. You know, this team is very hungry, very excited to go play, and obviously got a great opponent coming in here, you know, in FAU.
We've had all summer and all spring to get right with each other. Like I said, you know, the years past, Bake's been here, so he's got most of the reps with those guys. But for me right now, feel really comfortable with those guys, and you know, ready to put it to work on Saturday.
Definitely excited, ready to get out there. We've been working really hard all season, or all off season, so it's going to be exciting to get out there.
What Coach Kiffin and that group have done, the transformation that's happened there over the last couple of years is pretty remarkable.
Very athletic defense. You know, they got a lot of returning starters. You know, a lot of old guys, so they've been playing together. So you know, they got chemistry with each other. So you know, very athletic, very smart, and you know, they fly around. So should be a pretty good game.
You know, they've brought in a number of transfers. They've had recruited well. They've hit on some guys there in state.
Lane Kiffin, he's known for offense. So, end of the day, you know, great offensive coach and, you know, great coach at the end of the day. So,
this non-conference schedule just presents so many different challenges than it did last year. You know, you could argue one's tougher, one's not, but they're, you know, we're getting ready to play 3 good teams. First one up here is FAU, and so it's going to be important for us. We need to play great. We need to have a great home crowd. We need a big-time home field advantage. I mean, everybody needs to come do their part, us included, on Saturday, and let's go get off to a great start.
Beginning of the game, we got to dominate the line of scrimmage, and we know that. So, you know, that's been a driving force for our, you know, offense for a while now, is our offensive line. So the run game is definitely going to be crucial.
A lot of good things, a lot of optimism said by the team, and rightfully so. This does look like a good class, but that thing Kyler said at the very end is sticking with me. What do you think about that, Madeline?
That's right. He said the Sooners need to dominate the line of scrimmage this year, and I think that's absolutely just a really good point. I think they maybe struggled at that a little bit last season, especially as the season progressed. I mean, yes, their offense got better, but their defense really struggled. I think the run game, like you said, Rodney Anderson is the guy this year, and so I think that'll be really essential. I also thought it was funny that Lincoln Riley compared this year's non-conference schedule to last year's. I mean, it's a tough non-con, but come on, you went to Ohio State last year, Lincoln.
And you have 3 home games here, so
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all interesting, of course. Kyler Murray bringing out the whole dominating the line of scrimmage, I really like it because that's where you win football games. You win the football game in the trenches. And that's a grit guy thing to say, right?
Oh, my goodness.
A real football guy. You win. Defense wins championships, but of course, Oklahoma's known in years past of having great offensive and defensive lines. Okay, great guys like Tommy Harris, Gerald McCoy, Phil Lodeholt, Lane Johnson, all have played on that front line on both sides of the ball for Oklahoma. And of course, this year, what are they going to do? I mean, of course, Orlando Brown's gone. Eric Wren is gone. Devontae Lampkin is gone. Guys that really established the line of scrimmage. Now that those presences are vacated, who's going to step up and dominate the line? I want to find out.
Yeah, I'm not really that worried about the offensive line.
No.
Those concerns are legitimate. Those are great guys that they lost. But I think they'll reload. I'm confident Bobby Evans is going to be really good. He's going to be Orlando Brown good.
Sleeper All-American.
Yeah, he's going to be Orlando Brown good in my opinion. I think he's a guy who can be a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but I think so. And then you got Jonathan Alvarez has been in the program for a long time. You know, the rest of those guys, I'm pretty confident the O-line's going to be good. Ben Powers is the man. He's a beast. He likes to, what do you say? He likes to like eat people's souls or something like that.
Yeah.
Or he said a big
Very poetic.
Yeah.
Man of many words.
Exactly.
I got a question for you guys, though, and this is a very big thing going on, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about, but we can get back to that. This year, we talked about the turnover. We talked about a lot of things, and obviously ever since Lincoln has been in Norman, his offenses have been pretty good. Always scoring 40, always putting up ridiculous numbers yardage-wise. But it's his second year as head coach, but his first year without a team that was almost, I guess, I don't know, not destined to win, but that team was supposed to be good.
Also, first year without Baker.
Right, so the first year without Baker. That's exactly what I'm saying. We want to, like, just take off all the nice wordage and whatever. So that's what I'm curious about. What are you guys expecting from this guy now that it's his first year with not his own team, but a team that's more suited to him? And not even that, just a team that doesn't have Baker. Let's just put it that way.
I legitimately think that this year could be the best offense yet.
Really?
I do. I think Kyler Murray just brings such a level of dynamicness, if that's a word, to this offense.
Dynamicism, but, you know.
Dynamicism?
Are you making words on GamedayU?
I'm going dynamicness. Kyler is blinding fast. You know, we have covered the baseball team the last couple of years. It's ridiculous. He drops down a bunt, he's on first, and feels like half a second. You know, he's lightning quick. The run game is going to be so dynamic. They're going to throw the ball a ton. I think they're going to. Yeah. They're still. It's his Lincoln Riley. They're going to. He comes from the air raid. They're going to throw, but they're going to be able to run so well. Some read options, some RPOs with like Ryan, and you got Hollywood and CeeDee Lamb on the side. Calcaterra. Like that offense is going to be unstoppable. I don't know how you get this offense off the field ever. I mean, you're going to have to play a defense that's really fast. To defenses that are a little bit slower, it's not going to be good.
I'll tell you how you get them off the field. You let them score really fast, which they probably
honestly, that's probably the better strategy.
But, Joe, to follow up on what you said, I think that this offense has the chance to be great, guys, because Lincoln Riley is one of the best at shaping his offense around his talent. And I think that he's done this for a while now. At ECU, he was unbelievable as a coordinator. People forget, Ryan Broyles here at OU held the receptions record in all of college football. Lincoln Riley had 2 receivers at ECU break that record. Okay, he knows when his guys are good. Yeah. And heading into this year, I've always said for a while now that if I think that you copied the 2013 Auburn Tiger offense, the one that featured Nick Marshall, Trey Mason, that beat Alabama, and you pasted it onto this Oklahoma offense, undefeated.
Maybe you should tell Lincoln that.
I think so. We're going to have a little call here in a little bit before the game. It'll be fun.
Do you think Colin Murray's better than Nick Marshall?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you think Ron Anderson's better than Trey Mason?
Yes.
Well, let's go then.
Gear it up, ready to go.
It's funny. Each year, obviously, in any college sport, you have turnover, and especially in football. But this year, it just feels like a brand new team. Even though there wasn't, more turnover than the years past. Yeah. With Baker gone, it just feels like maybe this is, like you brought up, this is the real Lincoln Riley we're going to see, because we were just seeing kind of the Lincoln Riley that kind of followed in Bob's footsteps. But now we're seeing Lincoln OU head coach. Right. So definitely interesting to see. I agree with these guys. I think the offense is going to be better, especially just because Kyler can run the ball so well. We've seen his arm, too. I think they're going to be better.
I mean, I hope you guys are right.
We've seen, his high school highlights, and he did in the spring game, too. It's hilarious because he'll do a read, he'll drop back to pass. You can play perfect. You can cover everybody. You can play the run, and he'll just take off for 20 yards. He's so fast. He's such an athlete. I don't know. Hey, it's going to be tough to stop.
I don't know if it will be better, but it will be great, as I said.
I'm saying it's better.
All right, we'll hold you to that.
I don't know how you be better than number 1.
We'll see that, but whatever. If you guys think so, we'll find out. I am a little skeptical, but we'll find out. All right, guys, thank you for tuning into this coverage. When we come back, the studio team will take it away with the top national stories, so don't go away just yet.
What's up, guys? We are back here on GamedayU, and we're the in-studio team now. It's actually really cold in here. We're inside of Gaylord College, so if you hear anything weird, it's probably Kyle's teeth chattering. That's Kyle down there.
I'm not that cold. I got a jacket.
Tori Johnson is to his right. Your left. Lauren Lindenville follows. And we're going to be talking to you guys about football today, obviously. And it's going to be a lot of fun in here. We're going to try to keep things interesting. We're looking real snazzy. Honestly, you guys look great.
Brand new dress.
You guys look phenomenal.
No, you look great.
Yeah.
No, you look great.
Okay, fine. We both look great.
So, how do you guys feel? Week 1.
Feel good. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's always an electric time. I mean, football is just now beginning. We've had the entire offseason, so I'm sure you guys are just raring to go.
Yeah, especially with preseason and all the offseason moves and stuff, it just builds it up, and this is an awesome first weekend of football.
Definitely been counting down the days.
There's a lot of other people that are raring to go, too, a lot of new faces in new places.
I like that.
This is a new segment called 2-Minute Drill, and we're going to let you guys kind of run through your this is your personal offense, this is your personal time to kind of just get down to it and explain to a lot of different people the coaching changes this year. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of them. So, Kyle, we'll start with you. What is something that you saw this offseason? What kind of coach do you think is going to make the biggest impact?
I think Kevin Sumlin leaving A&M, heading to Arizona, is going to be big for that school. Kevin Sumlin, when he got to A&M, he started hot. I mean, luckily he had Johnny Manziel, and I mean, that helps. Johnny Manziel won a Heisman, and he was able to – they went 11-2 with a Cotton Bowl victory, but every year after that, just playing in the SEC kind of got to him. I mean, they had a slew of 9-5, 8-5 seasons, 9-4, 8-5.
Painfully average.
Yeah, and I mean, and when you get paid as much as Kevin Sumlin got paid out of Houston, you're expected to win. And I think the SEC West it just gets to people. I mean, you have to play Auburn, Alabama, LSU every year, plus whoever you play in the non-con, and SEC teams usually do. So, I mean, they made the move to the SEC. Kevin Sumlin started off strong, but I think heading to Arizona, they have something similar in Khalil Tate to what they had with Johnny Manziel. And he is a dynamic player, and I think Kevin Sumlin's a perfect coach to mold him. I mean, the air raid offense is perfect for Khalil Tate, and I think that just not having the pressure of playing in the SEC is really going to make Kevin Sumlin thrive at Arizona, especially in that wide-open Pac-12.
Yeah, Pac-12 is pretty sorry, actually. It's disgustingly bad going into the season, in my opinion. Tori, what do you got?
Okay, so I could probably talk longer than 2 minutes about my pick. I picked Scott Frost. He is leaving the University of Central Florida to go back home to Nebraska. Scott Frost was not only a quarterback for the Huskers, but he was the quarterback of the 1997 National Championship team. And they have
won a national championship this year.
Yes.
2017.
Yeah.
2017 national champion. Sorry, Tori.
No, you're good. But so he gets to go back home. I'm sure fans are thinking like he's going to bring the Huskers back into contention. He said that it's a personal stake for him because, I mean, like I said, that's home. And he's leaving UCF, as I said, the last season's national champions. That's really annoying. But nonetheless, the Knights were undefeated, and Scott Frost really turned that program around, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. For me, as an OU fan, I'm looking at this as 20 years from now, Baker Mayfield is coming back to coach for OU. You know, I'm sure their fans are excited. I'm sure he's excited. And just being back at his alma mater is, I mean, it's huge for him. And he was successful. He's young. And he left UCF on good terms with his players. Like, they seem to really love him. They sent out a tweet that said, you know, like, good luck back home, coach. Glad we could send you out with a win. Seems like he really connects with his players. He's a young guy. Me and Spencer were talking about it earlier. He actually, like, practices with his team sometimes. So I'm really excited for him. And I think he can bring them back to that contention as well.
Well, Lauren, try to one-up her.
I'll try. So, Kyle, I'm going to take after who took over for Kevin Sumlin. I'm going with Jimbo Fisher at A&M. Obviously, the huge contract, $75 million contract. Kevin Sumlin went 51-26 in the Aggies' first 6 seasons in the SEC, and they gave him a $10.4 million buyout. I mean, Jimbo Fisher's a big offensive guy. We know this. He went 83-23 at FSU. He won 3 ACC titles and finished in the AP's top 10 4 times, and obviously the national championship in 2013. Last night they played a pretty standout performance, obviously, against Northwestern State, so not a big test for them last night, but it's coming up for them. They've got Clemson at home next weekend. They're going to go to Bama in September, late September, and then they've got I mean, their away games are pretty rough. They've got Bama, Mississippi State, and Auburn. So I think the biggest thing for them is I mean, like Kyle said, Johnny Manziel was kind of handed to Kevin Sumlin, and I think that Jimbo Fisher can not only be good for recruiting, but also getting that offense back up for the Aggies. So
what kind of pressure do you think he's under at A&M now?
A ton.
I mean, they pay him that much money, he has to win.
A&M is notorious for, if they don't like their coach, they're going to put in money. So I think the big key here is to prove himself, and he's got to prove himself starting this year. I mean, it's that simple.
I have no idea what Jimbo Fisher was doing. He was in a much easier position at FSU. He could have a much easier cakewalk to at least a college football playoff berth. He goes to a place where you actually have to run the gauntlet. That schedule is stupid hard.
And the ACC is getting better, but it's no SEC West.
Right.
And I mean,
personally, I would have went with Joe Moorhead, Mississippi State. He walked into a ton of talent, a ton, and he did a very good job at Penn State prior. So I really think that he is able to come into his own, and Mississippi State is actually one of my sleeper teams for this year. I think that they're going to be very, very good. But I liked everything that you guys said. Whenever we come back, we are going to be talking about a lot of different things. 3 and Out. It's going to be a great new segment. I'm going to ask them 3 questions. They're going to do their very, very best to give me the best answers that they can. Stick around. We'll be coming right back.
And welcome back to Game Day U. Joining us for this segment is Sam Brown. Josh will be back later on in the show, but we got him for now, which is phenomenal. He's got plenty of great things to say. And guys, yet again, we heard it from the press conference, the Sooners are facing another gauntlet when it comes to their non-conference schedule. Granted, it's at home, but it's a pretty tough schedule that OU has to play before they start their conference schedule. So last year, this team, talking about Florida Atlantic, that is, won their conference, and they are by no means a team to be slept on, even though Lane Kiffin has said that this team is probably going to lose by 40 if they don't play slow. Don't know why he said that. But Colin, this is quite the home opener. So what do you think about it?
I think a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to follow heading into this football game. First of all, I know that Sam's going to break down some specific players to keep an eye on, so I'm going to go ahead and look at the broader term of this thing. This FAU team started the season 1-3, and everyone thought, well, I don't really know what this team really is. And then, of course, they ripped off 10 straight wins to finish the year. Yeah, and they dominated North Texas in the Conference USA Championship game. Of course, those losses were outside of Conference USA, Wisconsin, Buffalo, Navy, and it didn't look pretty. So what does this team do this time around in the non-conference? They have talent. You'll break that down. Yeah. I really like the athletes. A lot of people talk about Florida speed. They have that. They've got guys all over the field that really have potential to play at big-time D1 football programs. What will happen when it all goes out there and they're in that stadium with 86,000 people, not in a great mood because they had to get up early and now they don't want to play against this team? I don't really know, but I do think that Lane Kiffin's going to have some tricks up his sleeve, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, on last year's FAU team before you break down some specific players. So last year they were number 63 in total defense.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound that great, but if you remember I said OU was 67, so they did have a better defense. They were 9th in offense. I didn't realize how good they were. 40 points per game, top 10 offense, about the same defense, slightly better than OU's.
Number 1 offense in Conference USA.
Let's break down some players. When you look at FAU, you look at Lane Kiffin, but it all starts with Devin Singletary, their lead back.
He's good.
1920 rushing yards last season.
Their QB, right? QB
Yeah,
one?
yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Let's
go with that. 33 touchdowns last year for Devin Singletary. He's their lead back. He's their workhorse. He's the guy you're going to see a lot of carries from today. Probably about 30, 35 carries.
Getting some Heisman buzz too.
A little underdog there.
Heisman buzz.
Dark horse.
Yeah, big questions at quarterback after Jason Driscoll shockingly retired after last season. We still don't know whether it's going to be former OU quarterback Chris Robinson, DeAndre Johnson, even senior grad transfer Raif Peavy. Lane Kiffin still has yet to show his hand. He's doing a better job at it than Lincoln Riley is, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
We knew who that starter was, but in FAU, there's still a lot of questions. But on the defense, like Madeline said, 63rd in total defense. They've got some good players. Aziz Al-Shair, their leader linebacker, he's the heart of the defense. Over 145 tackles last year. And then Jalen Young in the secondary is their ball hawk. Tied for second in the country with 7 picks. And this secondary, they can intercept the ball. They were tied for second in the country with 20 interceptions last year. So they've got some playmakers.
Yeah, their other inside linebacker had 99 tackles to go with Al-Shair's 145 plus. But looking at it all, you bring up an interesting storyline heading into this game. Who is the starter for the Owls? Obviously, Oklahoma had a quarterback situation heading into this game, but so does FAU. And Lane Kiffin's got to make a decision right now because you can't walk into this football game going, I don't really know who the guy is.
About, an hour.
Yeah, you better start making the call.
I think he's just going to flip a coin before kickoff.
Yeah, I was imagining these guys in the locker room, they're just like, I don't know if I'm starting today.
What they'll do is at midfield, when the ref tosses the coin, if it lands on heads, it's going to be Robinson. If it lands on tails, it'll be Johnson.
And obviously,
that easy.
Peavy's coming in from Arkansas as a transfer. He's not really in the running. I think they're still figuring out his eligibility situation. But DeAndre Johnson was a last chance U star.
Yeah.
Remember that little Netflix series? It was
from the Florida State QB?
Yeah, but he sat out last year after playing about 2 games with blood clot issues, and he took some blood thinners, and now he seems to be back. The other guy, Chris Robinson, mentioned Oklahoma guy, got kicked off campus by Lincoln Riley because, well, he had a little too much fun his first couple weeks as a freshman.
College, what can you do?
Yeah, but he took it to a whole nother level. Then he violated some team rules, got kicked off. Then he went to FAU, violated team rules his first couple weeks there, and got suspended. He's a hot mess.
He doesn't like rules.
So your choices are pretty flip right now. You got one dude that has blood clot issues, and the other dude that has some discipline issues, to put it lightly.
I really want Chris to be the starter, just because of that extra storyline would make it.
It would be fun.
It would be a lot of fun.
I also think that FAU, it's kind of like OU, where they have enough options around the quarterback to where the quarterback just has to get the ball where they need. Like we said, Devin Singletary, and then Willie Wright's going to be their big playmaker. He's like a shorter version of Marquise Brown. He's about 5'8", 155, and he can just run like the wind.
I also want to really quickly add to Sam's point, Jovan Durant, transfer from West Virginia, was a practice star squad last year.
Practice star squad?
I messed up my words.
Practice
squad star. There were a couple of words in a line that I couldn't really string together. It's early.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I get you. Watch. What does he bring to the table? He's a speedster, a burner, a guy coming in from WVU with D1 experience that knows what Oklahoma could bring. He's the guy to keep an eye on.
You think so? Okay, so let's move away from FAU for a second because I think you guys have talked quite a bit about it this morning, and let's move to the conference at large.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the three of you, if I'm not mistaken, all think OU's about to win its 4th conference championship in 4 years.
Yes, I do.
Right?
I would say that, yes.
You think so? And correct me if I'm wrong again, but you guys also think that this offense is going to be great again this year.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so let me ask you the bigger question. Out of the Big 12, out of everything you've seen so far, and I know we haven't seen all the games because they haven't been played yet, who do you think could be OU's biggest challenger this year? Sam?
I hate saying this, I really do, but I think OU's biggest challenger is going to be the University of Texas. You know, as much as I hated it last year and as much as I was rooting for OU in the Cotton Bowl, I really liked what I saw from Sam Ehlinger at quarterback. Made some great plays, played with heart. He plays with grit, you know? You don't find that around very often. Do not shame yourself for the quarterback job. They do need to figure out a running back after Chris Warren left, after really a disappointing year, not really sure why he committed to the NFL draft, but it is what it is. But they also have one of the better wide receiver corps in the Big 12. Guys like Colin Johnson, Will Jordan Humphrey, I still love that name. Will Jordan, come on. Reggie Hemphill Maps, Almonte Foreman, those are all great players, and they have a really good defense. Hopefully they can build off of last year's success, even though they lost 4 key guys on their defense, especially Malik Jefferson and Deshaun Elliott, who led the country in interceptions last season.
Yeah,
but they have a really good recruiting class, and I think this is the year Tom Herman starts putting the pieces together.
You think so?
And producing some results, yeah.
The whole Warren situation was a hot mess because they didn't let him play running back, and now he's playing lots of running back for Oakland, and he's really good. So
he's actually playing well. He played well in the preseason.
Yeah, and he's also like 6'4", 240 pounds.
He's
Why
a
would
man.
you not let that
He's
guy
a big
carry the
boy,
football?
Well, people, welcome back. Texas is back season. It wasn't gone for too long.
But we've also said that for like 6 years. So
Yeah, so it's kind of expected. Madeline, I know you got a crush on Will Greer because you think he's going to win the Heisman for whatever reason.
I
So
don't think he's going to win the Heisman.
you think West Virginia might be
I do.
that good?
And I know we've talked about this before, and no one is on my side with this. In fact, everyone
No, absolutely not.
these grins on their faces. Whatever. But I think West Virginia is going to be good this year. I really do. I think they're poised for a second-place Big 12 finish. Last season, okay, they weren't great. 34 points per game, gave up 31 points per game. Not great. They went 7-6, but they were 4-2 at home with losses to Oklahoma State and a close loss to Texas. They still got Will Greer, like you said, 34 TDs last year, only 12 interceptions. I think he's going to be even better. And they got David Sills, a really, really good wide receiver who had 18 touchdowns last season. And I think that connection is going to be even better this year. They have a pretty easy schedule. I think it's very likely that when OU goes to West Virginia for the last game of the regular season, that West Virginia will be undefeated. They might play them again for the Big 12 championship.
Yikes.
Boy is the running back there, and I kind of want to watch him because they've recently had a string of couple really good running backs at WVU, and now he's kind of the next guy in line. What does he do? I want to watch.
Okay.
And it's also remembering, you said David Sills 18 touchdowns, but Gary Jennings is a guy who led the receptions and yards last year. You can't
Really
forget
good
about him
football
either.
player.
They're going to
Really good
have
football
a really
player.
good offense.
All right, close us off with this.
I'm going with the team from the home area, the DF Dub, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
But you want more.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that this team is really, really good. Coach Patterson does not get enough credit for how great of a program he's built down there in Fort Worth. Listen, I understand they lost Kenny Hill, but is Kenny Hill that big of a loss? I don't think so. He wasn't that great. I look at this team and I see, number one, I see one of the most underrated wide receiving corps in the country, period. Jalen Rager is a guy that committed to Oklahoma originally, then flipped over to TCU and is an absolute star. Jalen Austin is an absolute freak, and Cavante Turbin is this cerebral athlete that can go all over the field and make you pay in several different positions. Those three combined, oh my goodness, how good can they be? On top of that, they've got Jarius Anderson at running back, and Showo Alani Lewis. Say that with me, everyone. Showo
Alani Lewis.
Who's 6'4", 230 pounds. That sounds like Chris Warren.
Looks like me.
He's a big boy, and he can run the football. All of that combined, in addition to some interesting changes on the offensive line, this TCU offense can be really, really good. But, of course, the major storyline with them is the quarterback position. Sean Robinson coming in as the DeSoto guy. He won DeSoto's first ever state title. Shout out to our old friend Kenneth Adair, who used to be on this show.
And who was here earlier today.
Yes, he was. He stopped by the show. And he will leave DeSoto as really a legend because they're for 1 year and he won a state title. So he's stepping into TCU. He had some action, didn't do too much. I also really like the young freshman they brought in Justin Rogers. 4-star guy out of the state of Louisiana. A special athlete that Gary Patterson is really, really high on. If he gets a chance, whoever it is, between Sean or Justin, I think they have a really, really good quarterback. And, of course, that TCU defense, I won't go on a huge ramble about them. They're really, really good, and they've got Gary Patterson at the helm. He knows how to shut people down. I think TCU's their greatest
They've
challenge.
also got a big loss, though. They lost Ross Blacklock, the co-defensive freshman of the year, Achilles injury.
Yeah.
That's going to build a lot of pressure on Ben Banigou, who a lot of people have as the defensive player of the year in the Big 12.
Yeah, they lost Bosin. They lost Bosin as well as the other defensive end in that defensive scheme, but Banigou's really good. Banigou is really, really good. And also a guy that I'm really high on is Ty Summers, their middle linebacker. He's a guy that sort of took a while to come around, but now that he's becoming sort of the captain of the defense, I like his style of play. I think he's going to be really good this year.
Okay, so last topic before we transition out of this conversation. Who do you guys think is a sleeper in the Big 12? A team that might not win the conference, but will just kind of catch you by surprise, off guard.
I always like to say this every year. I think Kansas State has a potential to play spoiler for a lot of teams in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
When you look at their schedule, they'll be hosting Texas, which will always be a tough one. OU fans know how hard it is to play Kansas State, especially after last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be looking for revenge on the road. They play OU, West Virginia, and TCU on the road. Those are all teams they lost to last year. They're going to be looking for revenge. They were embarrassed on their home field by those three teams. And they've got a good team again. Again, Alex Delton and Skylar Thompson, the dual-threat quarterback, running back kind of thing. Those two guys are going to be running right down your throat. Like you said, we know how great of Coach Bill Snyder is. Just got extended for 5 more years, so he's going to be around probably till he dies.
Yeah.
Which is sad to think of, but
Yikes.
he's 78 years old.
Yeah, real quick for me, my little sleeper, Oklahoma State. People are forgetting that this football team was really, really good last year. And now, of course, Rudolph is gone, Washington is gone. But they have some dudes coming back. Number one, they have a pretty good quarterback situation. I don't like Taylor Cornelius that much. He's a fifth-year guy as a walk-on.
He looked a little shaky in their game.
He's not that good, but I like the guys behind him. Okay, Drew Brown transferring in from Hawaii, I think has a chance to be a really good football player. And Spencer Sanders from Denton Ryan High School, I've seen this dude play. He's special. I think he has a chance to be really, really good. The receivers coming back, Stoner, McCleskey, Tyron Johnson, could be a really special group again. And the defense, new defensive coordinator, I think could be really good. Oklahoma State will be favored, and in like the first 8 games that they play this year, they have a chance to go on an 8-7-0 run. Keep an eye on the Cowboys.
You didn't mention who I think is the best player on that team, Justice Hill running back.
Yeah.
Dark horse Heisman for me, honestly.
That's what I said.
Great,
That's
great ball
exactly
player.
what I was thinking. If you're looking for a dark horse, he's your guy.
And J.D. King to back him up. Not bad.
And L.D. Brown. They've got a stacked running back.
I think it's interesting. I mean, in this conference, I think you could make an argument that any of these teams could be second or third place, except for, I mean, maybe Kansas. I mean, even Iowa State. We got at Big 12 Media Days. You got the sense that Matt Campbell really has this team in a good position. I mean, I think any of these teams could really surprise us and do really good this season.
I'm a big fan of David Montgomery, too, as well. The running back for Iowa State led the country in missed tackles or broken tackles last year.
Iowa State's going to be really, really good. And keep an eye on Hakeem Butler. Obviously, Alan Lazard is gone, but Butler's a guy at 6'6". That can be special.
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this back, looking at the Big 12, but more specifically at OU. We kind of touched on this earlier, but I want the topic to go at hand again. I don't need to repeat the accolades. We know about Baker's Heisman. We know about the All-Americans. We know about the guys who are not playing today, resting for tomorrow because they have their lives intact in that way. So it's a new team, and it's a team that we don't really know what to expect from yet. Like, we right now are just speculating. We've seen the spring game, and honestly, what a coach is showing the spring game, right? So from last year to this year, looking at OU's team as a whole, coaches, players, even the practice squad. So what do you guys think? Is there room for digression? And if there is, can this team still be good if they do digress?
I think there's room for digression, but at the same time, I think they're the clear-cut favorites to win the Big 12.
Right.
If you ask anybody, I think a lot of people have OU as their champions. The way I see it, I think OU's the best team in the Big 12. And then you've got about basically the 3 teams we talked about that are good teams, TCU, Texas, West Virginia. And then you kind of have the Iowa States and Kansas States, and then you just have 4 teams that are all right, you know?
Yeah.
There's no team that really stands out that jumps out at me like the way Oklahoma does with their high-powered offense, with the recruiting they're doing, the great job recruiting. I think that there's room for digression, and I see him dropping the game at some point. I see him dropping the Cotton Bowl against Texas, but at the same time, I still think they're the best team in the Big 12, and really not that close.
Can I ask you this real quick before we go on? So mentally, what do you think this does for OU? Because they do have like a new squad, and you said they're still really pretty good, like they're the clear-on favorites, but how do you follow up last year, knowing what happened?
By winning a national championship. That's really the only option you have. When you come that close and you come that close to winning, you know that you can get back there again, even though you lose a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, because you've got all the weapons. Everything's there except for number 6.
Perfect answer. Madeline?
The Sooners play maybe better when they're not expected to do as well.
You think so?
Which a lot of people don't think they're going to be as good. I mean, anytime you're replacing the Heisman winner, digression is expected. Although, even though I think OU will win the Big 12, if they don't make the playoff, that is digression, because that's not as good as they did, obviously, last year.
Right.
Which very, very, very few experts have them making the playoff. I think I read 43 ESPN guys made their picks. Two of 43 had OU in the playoff at all. And then a couple others had West Virginia, and that was the only Big 12 schools that were even in there.
Yikes.
So, I mean, it's going to be difficult for this team, I think. But like I said, I think they play better when they're not expected to do as well.
I'm really glad that you brought this up, and I'm so excited to talk about this because
I can tell.
That is absolutely ridiculous that people do not think Oklahoma is going to make the playoff. They have one of the easiest routes to the CFP with actually a strong resume potentially out of everyone in the country, okay? On top of that, they will be favored in every football game they play this year, period, by a wide margin, okay?
Yeah.
And they have talent, like you said, that is returning that can take them over the hump. And that's why, when I was asked about a bold prediction for this season, I'd be interested to see what all the rest of you say. My bold prediction, this team might just go undefeated. Period.
14 games?
I think that this chance, I think that they might slip up in the playoff. I think they might slip up in the playoff, but of course in the regular season, I think they have a great chance to go unbeaten. A great chance. They have some really strong non-con games, but those teams aren't as good as OU. Not by any stretch of the word. On top of that, the state of the Big 12, I want to break this down. Outside of Will Grier, when you look at returning passing leaders, Will Grier is number 1. Number 2 in the passing leader category is a guy named Peyton Bender. He's at the old infamous University of Kansas, and he lost his starting job 6 or 7 weeks of the season because he threw the ball to the other team too much. Okay, 10 picks.
I heard that's bad.
That's what you're not supposed to do when you play football, everyone. Think of how bad that is for the conference. Think of how great that is for Oklahoma. They've got a chance to go undefeated.
I think that helps them go undefeated, but that does not help his resume for the college football playoff, where I think a lot of experts are putting in, you know, Clemson, Big Ten winner, and 2 SEC teams potentially. That does not help the Big 12's case.
You know what they say? It really is a matter of storylines when it comes to the media, when it comes to how we are predicting the first year. I think you make an absolutely great point, but like you said earlier with the quarterback battle, it is reasonable to be expected because it is OU, it is college football, it is the Power 5 conference. But that will be all we have to say about this story, but don't go away again. When we come back, the studio team will be talking about the nation's top stories, and then after that, we might be back. We'll see you guys later.
Welcome back to Game Day U. It's time for this week's NFL Sooner Standout. And this week, our highlighted player should be familiar to Sooner fans everywhere. It's Baker Mayfield. The 2017 Heisman winner and first overall draft pick has certainly made his case to be the Cleveland Browns starter. He capped off a very strong preseason performance by going 9 for 16 with 138 yards this Thursday night against the Detroit Lions. After 4 solid games from Mayfield, Browns head coach Hugh Jackson will face a very tough decision. Whether Mayfield has done enough to beat out Tyrod Taylor for the starting job remains unclear, but the electrifying Sooner alum has definitely injected life into a very dormant Browns franchise since he's arrived in Cleveland. The Browns host the Steelers on September 9th at First Energy Stadium, and even if Mayfield isn't under center in Week 1 for the Browns, the Sooner faithful can likely count on seeing their beloved quarterback in some action in the not-too-distant future.
I hope that the not-too-distant future means next season because
Oh,
he should not play this year.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I am fully in on Tyrod Taylor being the better quarterback on this roster. I think that Baker Mayfield is clearly going to be the future of this team. But you pay Tyrod Taylor, he's a good quarterback. They want to win games. Why do you have to rush Baker? If he's going to play 15 years, what's 1 year sitting behind a quarterback who can actually teach him how to play well?
Well, he was a former Heisman, so we're going to go on to Heisman Watch right now. Preseason Heisman, who are you looking at to win that?
I'll start.
On your radar?
Khalil Tate. I already talked about how much I like Arizona this year. Kevin Sumlin, you add him on. He was able to mold Johnny Manziel into an incredible quarterback. I think Khalil Tate entering the air raid offense that Kevin Sumlin loves to run opens up the field immensely for him. He'll be able to send his wide receivers out deep. He'll be able to scramble like he's really good at. I mean, last season, he barely played in the first 4 games, and he finished with 1,500 passing yards, 1,600 rushing yards, 25 touchdowns. All those numbers are going to bump up this season with a year under his belt, and I think if Arizona's good enough for a Heisman winner, then I think he has a chance to win it, but they have to win 9 or 10 games.
They definitely
That's the tough part of this.
And he's going to have to put up some pretty gaudy numbers because obviously he's not going to be playing against the best competition, so they're going to look at that and be like, well, he didn't play against the best of the best.
Exactly,
So
the resume's gonna
he's going to have to put up
there.
like Baker-like numbers and then run for even more, most likely.
I mean, I think more like Lamar Jackson rather than Baker. I mean, I think people really want to see him use his legs because he's so freaking fast. That guy is so
extremely fast.
It's fun to watch him too.
My pick, it was actually it was hard for me to choose between this guy and actually Lauren's pick this week, but I went with Jonathan Taylor. He broke Adrian Peterson's freshman rushing record. AD had 1,925, and Taylor last season had 1,977. So, I mean, he beat my OU guy, so I went with him. I think this guy is going to be a stud. Their offense runs the ball a lot, so he's going to have a lot of opportunities to just rack up yards. And even though he's only a sophomore, they usually go with quarterbacks for the Heisman. But this guy's good, and he is my pick for this week.
They played pretty well last night.
Yeah, their whole offense looked good.
And then Hornibrook, I mean, he kind of just, it's almost like he's just like a placeholder there. Like he kind of just stands there and lets the offense run the ball out. He's not really throwing the ball much deeper than 10 yards at the most. So he's obviously, Jonathan Taylor's obviously a very, very, very strong pick because he's going to get a lot of work this year. A lot of work.
Well, I'm going with somebody that some people might think is a cop-out, but Bryce Love from Stanford. Runner-up last year to Heisman. He had over 2,000 rushing yards, 19 touchdowns. I think he is every D-line's nightmare. He played despite injury last year. I think his biggest thing is staying healthy, and I think that if he stays healthy, he's definitely a contender, and I think he might win it all. Last year he averaged 8 yards per carry on the ground. I think honestly might be more this year. I think everybody agrees with me on this one. I think that he's definitely a contender.
Probably
but
the
I think he's
favorite
going to
right
win.
now.
He is the favorite, I think.
Last night was a tough start.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. I mean, he was held to 29 yards last night, and I think that everybody's looking out for him.
Maybe he's better with an ankle sprain.
I mean, he might be. It gives him a little.
It makes him want to
little
work
edge.
a little hard. Gives you
Yeah,
a little more adrenaline.
for
You
sure.
feel that pain.
But staying healthy
Can I mention one sleeper?
important.
Dude, you can do whatever you want.
I want to mention one sleeper, and OU fans are going to see him today. Devin Singletary from FAU has a chance to really light a fire under his case for the Heisman. 32 touchdowns last season. OU's defense might not look great to start. I mean, first game, there's lots of jitters. They got to figure it out. But if Devin Singletary has a big game today, I think his name is going to start being mentioned pretty quickly in the Heisman.
Yeah, and big difference this year is he's actually already on the radar. So everyone that's going to be kind of talking about it and even voting already has his name in their brain. So it's more likely to come up later. And I mean, he's got a pretty good team to do it against week 1. OU's running.
It'll be fun to see
defense
that
was
today.
There are a lot of good running backs this year. This is a year where
Rodney
think
Anderson.
I was about to throw that out.
What's
I mean,
the
let's
guy
throw
from
another
Boston
one. Rodney
College?
Anderson.
Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan.
That guy's tremendous too. There are seriously 8 or 9 running backs that have a chance to at least put their name in the Heisman race.
I think it might be a
I
running back
picked Jonathan
this year
Taylor,
for
but I will campaign for Rodney Anderson any day.
I'm actually going to go with
love
Tua.
This guy.
Okay.
I'm serious.
I mean, I could agree with that.
Thank you.
Okay.
But I love Rodney, and last season was kind of his first run at all this after all the injuries and all the things that he's had to overcome. And I think, I hope that he lights it up this season.
He has produced from day one, which he didn't do last
Nobody
year.
said anybody from Ohio State, but they're still going to be talked about. A lot of stuff's been going on with Urban Meyer. I'm sure you guys have heard about it.
I think I heard about that.
It's been pretty big recently.
He's suspended, right?
Yeah,
okay.
kind of.
Yeah. Now,
slap
I
on the
was gonna
wrist. Nice
say,
slap. What do you think it's going to affect his team?
No, I don't at all. I mean, he's still coaching. He's just not going to be there on Saturdays. And I think
they have 2 games that TCU might be tough, but
maybe
Ohio State should start 3-0 regardless of if Urban
I think so.
Meyer's
I don't
on the
think that this is
sideline.
affecting the team, and I think that's been a big conversation among the team. This is not going to affect us. We are not looking at this as this is side stuff that we're not going to pay attention to. As a football team, I mean, obviously it's a school issue, but
I mean, As a head coach, he's kind of just like an overseer anyway.
Yeah,
he has a bunch of different coordinators that do it all.
And he doesn't call the plays on offense or the plays on defense.
So
at every game.
All he does is just not talk about stuff.
And just like aside, speaking of how you said it, I mean, it is a soft punishment. Like, it's soft. One of the school's trustees actually resigned because he was just so sick over Meyer's soft punishment. Like, he thought it should have been so much more severe, and he just.
I think most people.
I think everyone can agree.
If you're gonna punish him, at least punish him in games that they have a chance to lose in. I mean, you just handed him 3 wins, and Urban gets to take a nice little vacation and actually watch the game from a nice place.
Did not help himself at all, like with the press or either how he handled things, which may have like smoothed it over a little bit for people, but I mean, it was terrible. So.
Yeah.
Well, I have to agree with you guys 100%, and I actually do think it's soft. I don't know what kind of precedent that'll send later on. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back here in just a couple minutes, and we're going to give you a lot of predictions, a lot of picks, talking about some very good games that are going on this weekend. Stay tuned. See you in a minute. Welcome back. Told you we'd be here. We didn't lie to you. All we can tell is the truth on this show.
We did not move.
Yeah, just straight facts here. This one's called Pick'em. And as you can probably guess, we're going to be picking them.
Digging for the
Picking
gold.
what?
It's like pick them like an adoption clinic. That's what I was saying earlier.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
We have some very
a dog adoption.
First, we're going to pick the top 3 national games that are going on this weekend. It's a lot of good ones. 3, actually. We're going to start with Washington and Auburn. Kyle, who you got?
I think this is going to be a really fun game. I mean, we talked a little bit about it when we talked about Washington earlier and how crucial it is for both of these teams. But Washington has a really good offense and a really good defense. Auburn lost 2 starters on their O-line. They come in with some injury problems. They lost Kerryon Johnson. I mean, Jared Stidham's good, but they have a lot of ground to make up, and Washington isn't really weak on any side of the ball. So
is Jared Stidham good?
I think he's good, but I think Washington's definitely going to win this game.
Yeah. I agree. I think I am going to become a Washington fan this season. I think they're good.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Tori's got a new team, everybody.
I'm no longer an OU fan. No, just kidding. But like you said, they're great on both sides of the ball. They have a great defense. Jake Browning, like we said earlier, I think people sleep on him. I think he's a good quarterback.
People sleep during his performances.
Oh,
I think that's
what
the
we
issue.
said. That's what we said. But they also have this new offensive coordinator. And I think it could go either way, but I think it is going to go towards Washington, and they're going to win. I don't think Auburn can handle their defense, so I'm going Washington.
Let's hear the other side, Lauren.
All right, well, I think I'm going to be the only one, but I'm going Auburn today. Obviously, they are ranked higher than, well, Washington's ranked higher, but I think...
Upset alert.
Upset, there we go. I'm gathering my thoughts. But I think that Auburn's offense is hard to stop. I know that they've lost some big names, but I think that Washington's not going to be able to stop them. And I know that that's a pretty hot take, but it's just what I think. So
I'm personally going Washington.
So I'm the outlier here,
Lauren,
but that's okay.
Let's bet. How much money should we
I'm
put
not
on
betting
this?
anything.
Hey, no, we don't gamble.
Yeah, come on.
Next one
It's
on
a
the
family show.
Under the
next
table.
one on the list, we have Notre Dame, Michigan, 2 very, very historic and old programs, neither of which have really had much crazy success.
Some rivals here.
Michigan hasn't really had much at all, especially with that big
Harbaugh just hasn't figured out offense at all yet.
But they have a quarterback this year, so do you think it's going to work out?
I think that this is going to be a really fun game.
I hope
think
so.
They have such a historic rivalry, and it hasn't really been talked about much, or really, I mean, they haven't even played much recently, so it's fun.
3 years.
It's fun for this rivalry to get back going, and both teams are supposed to have pretty good seasons. I think I'm going to say the same thing about Notre Dame. I mean, even worse than Auburn, they lost 2 top 10 picks on the offensive line, and Michigan's defense is as good as Washington's, if not better. So, I mean, it's going to be a similar game, I think, to the Washington-Auburn game. There's going to be lots of defense, probably lots of turnovers.
This feels like a game that should be played in cold weather, personally. That's the way I feel.
Well, like you said, they have a good defense, but Michigan has a good defense, and so does Notre Dame. And so it's going to be a low-scoring game. I know it will be. But I'm going to go Michigan because they have a new upgrade at quarterback. Shea Patterson just transferred in from the University of Mississippi, and I think he's going to help them out a lot. And like I said with the last pick, I think it could go either way. just kind of depends on how the game plays out and how everybody's defenses play. But I think it is going to be Michigan.
Well, I guess I'm just going to go against everything they just said again, but that's okay. I'm going to go with Notre Dame today.
Being different is good.
I think so, too. I mean, I think that, like they said, it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I think that Notre Dame's going to come out on top, and I think it's,
I'm on the Michigan bandwagon this year. I got Michigan.
I mean, I think that Michigan.
Are you a Michigan fan now too?
No, I'm not a fan. I just got them winning this game.
One thing to say about Michigan is that if they want to have success this season, they pretty much have to win this game.
Yeah,
because we're talking about SEC teams running the gauntlet. They have to go through their side of the Big Ten and Wisconsin and Nebraska if they're good.
Right.
I mean, they have a tough schedule.
But we still have one more very big game to talk about. Personally, the game I'm most excited for this weekend, outside of the one that we get to watch here very soon, it is Miami versus LSU, and that game's tomorrow. I think that's super cool.
That's really cool.
We don't have NFL tomorrow yet, so I'm kind of happy to get to watch that on a Sunday. What do you guys have going on for that one?
This is going to be, I think, the most interesting of the games.
I love the colors in this one.
Miami
so
last
bright.
year, they brought the swag back with the turnover chain. The U is back, and people didn't get to say that often. Mark Richt's got this team working. They have a really good defense, but I think their biggest question mark is a quarterback. Rozier had a good year last year, but over the last 7 games, over the last 5 or 6 games, he never threw over 210 yards. He threw 7 picks. He kind of lost control of that offense, and they were talked about making the playoff the whole season last year until the final couple contests. They're coming off of 3 straight losses. LSU is totally revamped this year. They have new players at basically every position, but LSU always recruits well, and I think this is a good start for their season. Go Joe. Go that Tiger.
So you're going
Go
LSU?
Tigers. Yeah, LSU for sure.
Okay. Well, I am going with Miami. I don't think LSU is that great. Everybody's talking about them, but they lost a lot of people, like you said. Like I don't think they're going to be as great as what everybody thinks, but I think it's going to be Miami. They're returning 7 of 8 of their leading tacklers. So yeah, I think Miami's going to win this game.
Well, I'm agreeing with you on this one. Finally, we'll agree on something here. I think we're going to see the turnover chain a lot today. I think that LSU always goes in overrated.
That thing is so cool.
It's so cool, honestly.
So cool.
But I seriously think that LSU always goes in overrated and ends up blowing it. And I think it's going to happen again. So I think it's simple as that.
One player to watch for Miami, Amon Richards, wide receiver, hurt all last season, coming back, should have a huge year. He's their #1 target. He's someone that, I mean, if he gets going, I think that's one thing that could cause Miami to win. But
I have LSU.
Well, what was it that somebody
said
earlier?
On this one.
Big day in the Bayou.
Call him Ellis.
Yeah,
Miami's
call him
got
LS.
the U.
Yeah, they have to beat Miami to get the U.
What would a show be without some bold predictions? I want you guys to tell me one upset pick that you're looking at.
I hate going against the Big 12 this early to start the season, but I think Tennessee going against West Virginia. I know that Tennessee struggled last year. I mean, 118th in scoring, 125th in total offense. They bring in Jeremy Pruitt, the defensive coordinator from Alabama. Their defense should be super improved. West Virginia's defense stinks. I think if Tennessee's going to bring themselves back to not being the laughingstock of the SEC,
throwback to when
they got to win this game. And I think it'd be nice for OU's sake to continue their streak on the playoff for West Virginia to start off with a loss.
I'm on that train. That's my pick as well.
Cool.
Okay, well, my upset is a little different. I'm going with Appalachian State over Penn State.
Wow.
Throwback to exactly 11 years ago on this day when Appalachian State beat Michigan.
What a game.
34-32. Michigan was ranked number 5, and Appalachian State blocked a field goal and won the game. So it's at Penn State this year, and Appalachian State is a 24-point underdog. But let's see if they can pull it out. It'd be really cool. I mean, exactly on the 11-year anniversary, they pull another huge upset like that. That'd be awesome.
You know, Josh has them in the playoffs, so I bet he would be really disappointed if they started 0-1 against Appalachian State.
I hope they do for Josh then.
All right, well, I'm going with an OU crowd pleaser here, and I'm picking Maryland over Texas.
Boom.
Happened last year.
Horns down.
Why not happen again? You've got Ty Johnson and Lorenzo Harrison returning as the school's 2 leading rushers. I think that they blew it last year, and I think that they could easily blow it again. Obviously.
Yeah, Texas.
And Texas actually has some hype going into the season.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd love for that to get shut down.
Let's just shut that down right now.
Get that over with.
We've managed to not really talk about OU versus FAU
at all.
Not at all.
We talked about Devin Singletary, but not a
but
single
who's gonna, real quick, Who's winning today's game? I think
OU.
I already know. I'm going I'm going OU. Are you kidding me?
I thought you were going to say
I was like,
FAU.
are you seriously calling
FAU is
FAU?
not winning today. Thanks for checking us out, watching us today. Don't worry, you're going to be in good hands here in a couple minutes, 8 hands to be exact. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, 8 a.m. Thanks for watching.
Happy game
Boomer
day.
Sooner.
Boomer. And welcome back to GamedayU. Yes, we are inside now. We had a few technical difficulties, but everything is
fast.
good.
Like magic.
Yes.
It's cold in here.
It's way colder. Who would have guessed? Anyway, we have some big news that just happened, and I'm going to let Josh Calloway take this away.
Yeah, pretty cool. So the captains got announced for the game. It's going to be Kenneth Murray, who's the first sophomore since 2014. It's kind of notable. Austin Seibert, who's the first kicker since 2014. And then Rodney Anderson and Ben Powers. So those are your 5 captains. No Kyler Murray. And no Caleb Kelly, I would say, are probably the 2 most notable left off there. So
Okay, big news. I
a little
agree
bit
with
of news
that.
there.
So, quick question before we get on to our final word, our call-outs, and our score predictions. Do you guys just have any last thoughts about the game that you want to get off before we go right into it?
Yeah, I think the final thought for me heading into this football game, it's all about Oklahoma getting off to a great start.
Yes.
I think one of the big things that this Oklahoma team got a knock on last season was they were out to slow starts several times on several different occasions throughout the last season. So heading into this year, knowing what Florida Atlantic can do on offense and what they could potentially do with Lane Kiffin trying to pull some tricks out from underneath the sleeve, as I mentioned earlier, you got to be able to get out there and be locked in immediately. Lane Kiffin's going to try and make sure that this Owl team is throwing the kitchen sink at him. But you got to lock in, make sure that you lock them down. And I think Oklahoma will. I think they have a great chance heading into this game.
Yeah, I mean, it scares me a little bit. Anytime you have a powerhouse playing at home, first game of the season, I mean, you're nervous, expectations are high, and you're not really sure what's going to happen. So I think these guys need to come out here and just be ready and just already have their eye on the prize. I mean, obviously, you always say, you know, we're taking it one game at a time.
Yeah.
One game at a time. But they know what they want. They know what the end goal of this season is going to be. So they got to be ready.
They're excited to be out there too. So
yeah, you kind of were alluding to it there. It's a trap game. It feels like a trap game at least. You know, Florida Atlantic is a good team. You know, 11 wins last season. You know, this is a game where he's got high expectations. Kyler Murray's going to have the butterflies going crazy, I assume. I think they need to get him relaxed. You know, get the offense settled in. Maybe kind of feed Rodney early because Rodney's going to be ready to go. Do some RPOs, some dink and dunk passes to Calcaterra and maybe Marquise Brown or whatever. So just get Kyler relaxed, get him settled. You know, I mean, he's a guy, he's ready for this, I think, but at the same time, he's probably going to be the most nervous he's been for a football game, maybe in his life. So, you know, get him relaxed and get an early lead and settle in. That'd be the main thing. Don't fall behind early because it's going to be nervous time in that stadium if it's, you know, 7-0, 10-0.
Yeah, get off to a great start, and you mentioned it, Kyler Murray. He brought up a great point I think we all should expand on. Dominate the line of scrimmage. You can't harp on it enough. Florida Atlantic is a finesse team with Florida speed. How do you beat a finesse team? You bully them to a pulp. Go out there. You know you have a phenomenal offensive line, a defensive line that has great athleticism and a chance to be special. Go out there and dominate the front line. You could win from there.
Okay. So it's the time we've been waiting for. I know it's one of my favorite segments, and we haven't done it for an entire year. Final words, call-outs, and score predictions, guys. The game is right around the corner, and we're going to get going with Josh. Your final word.
Final word for the game, showtime. It's finally time. It's been a long off season. The Rose Bowl feels like it was just decades ago. It's go time. All the talk about Kyler Murray taking over, the defense is bad, Lincoln Riley coaching out Baker Mayfield, the defense was so bad in the Rose Bowl, whatever, anything you can talk about. Now it's time to actually play a football game. We actually get to see it. They're playing against a good team, Florida Atlantic. They have to go out there and showcase it. It's finally time. No more talking. Let's play a game. I'm excited. Why is this cup on here? Let's play a game. I'm excited.
I love it.
I love it. On game day. Madeline?
My final word, Josh said earlier, was kind of a funny one, is reclamation. Oklahoma, it is a word.
I don't know what that word means.
I'll explain it to you. Oklahoma touts itself as a program of national champions. Before the players run on the field, they touch a banner that says, play like a champion today. And while they have been playing like Big 12 champions, they haven't been champions in almost 20 years. And I know this team wants one. This fan base wants one so bad. They need to reclaim that identity as national champions. They need to get out here with that mindset, win the title, win it all.
My final word isn't nearly as interesting because it shouldn't be.
It's casual. My final word is casual. Why? When you go out there and you're a phenomenal football team like the Oklahoma Sooners and you're facing a team like Florida Atlantic where you're heavily favored, what do? You go out there and you casually beat the crap out of them in game one, and then you move on from there. I said crap.
We don't need that kind of profanity on this show.
Keep it casual.
Anyways, let me finish on my final word.
Way better.
You beat the absolute mess out of them, and then you move on. Look, don't make this game bigger than it needs to be. Yes, this is game one. Yes, it's a great team. And yes, Lane Kiffin's a guy that's coming in with plenty of hype. But of course, you've got plenty of hype yourself, and you can't let that get to your mind. Go out there, be casual, and win the game today.
Okay. I don't know if I have a graphic for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. My final word is precedent. I really think
care
that
about your word, Joe.
I appreciate you guys. This is why I love you guys. And I'm saying this because I honestly think that this is a new era for OU football. We don't have Baker. They don't have Obo. They don't have Mark Andrews. It's a different team. And this is really where I think Lincoln Riley is going to prove that the money he's making is well-deserved. So you got to come out today. You got to come out this season and show that last year it wasn't a fluke just because you had a team that you inherited that was pretty good. So let's keep going on. Josh, once again, who is your final call out?
I'm going to go with Kenneth Murray, Collins boy, for my call out here. You know, obviously all eyes are on the defense. The defense has been bad. You know, they had a transcendently great player in Baker Mayfield, and, you know, you could argue they wasted him. They didn't win a national title with him, never even got to a national title game. And all eyes are kind of on him this year. He's supposed to be the guy. He's named a captain today. He's been said every single post-game, or not post-game, but presser and practice we went to, they all said Kenneth Murray is the leader. He's ready to be the leader. He's way better. His vision's better. He's stronger. He's faster. We've done nothing but hear about how much better Kenneth Murray is going to be, and I think he's going to be better, but let's see it. Let's see a big game from him, get some sacks, force a turnover, something like that. I'm looking for Kenneth Murray to be the leader of the defense and set the tone.
All right, Madeline.
Well, I'm also going with K. Murray, but Kyler Murray, not
They're
Kenneth
brothers,
Murray.
right?
I think they're related. Kyler Murray, I mean, he knows it. He has so much weight on his shoulders right now. Like Josh said, replacing Baker Mayfield, Heisman winner. He needs to go out there. He needs to do him. He needs to relax. He needs to be the rusher we know he is and have the arm that we saw from him in high school. You can do it, Kyler.
All right, my call out, Joe. I'm going to go with an interesting way about this. I'm going to go with a coach. All right, I know it's very popular to pick out players.
I'm curious what you're going to say here. When I saw it, I was like, where's he going with that?
Shane Beamer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now hear me out. Listen, the timeliness of Shane Beamer's hire was essential. They lost Mark Andrews, who won the OU first ever Maxwell Award. He's now gone from the tight end position. They're bringing in a guy in Grant Calcaterra who I think has great potential and could be very special moving forward. On top of that, Shane Beamer is known for his epic way of drawing up special teams, and Oklahoma was bad at special teams the past couple of years. I mean really, really bad. He's coming in with a lot of expectations. He's a phenomenal recruiter, a great coach of not only H-backs and tight ends, but also special teams, and that is an area where OU needs to emphasize because they've lost so much. They've been bad there on both sides. It's up to him to better those units. And what will he do in game one? All eyes will be on him. It may not necessarily be right on him, but will be on what his product is on the playing field. I want Shane Beamer to see what he's got and capitalize on it. Special teams, tight ends groups, H-backs, they lost Dimitri Flowers, Mark Andrews, so many other things. But those groups have to be special moving forward for the Sooners.
All right. And all I got to say is if I had a call out, I'd be Lincoln because, well, I digress. We've talked about it enough. And last but not least is our score prediction and winner, Josh.
All right, so I think Oklahoma's going to win the game, but I think this is going to be a close game. I think Florida Atlantic they're ready. They're game for this. Lane Kiffin's ready for this. Devin Singletary's ready for this. Chris Robinson, if he starts, is ready for this. Also saw that he's probably going to play. He might not start, but he's going to play. So he's going to be ready for this. You know, he's been waiting for a long time. I think Florida Atlantic keeps this close till probably middle third. OU kind of starts to assert themselves. They pull away a little bit. 45-27, Sooners get the win. Kyler has a good game. Rodney has a huge game. And Devin Singletary has a big game, too, I think.
Is 45-27 really considered a close game, though?
That's pretty close. I mean, OU's not covering the spread.
Close early is what he mentioned.
It is close. That's close for comfort for OU fans, I think.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
I think around middle third, it'll be like a one-possession game in the middle of the third.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I also have them kind of getting off to a slow start. I think the first half is going to be kind of a close game. I think, you know, the offense is going to be a little rocky. Like we said, Kyler Murray's going to be nervous. But I think they eventually wear Florida Atlantic's defense way down. I think they'll be tired. I think the second half they really pull away and win this game big. 48-28 is my final score prediction.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to do you one better, Josh, okay? I'm going to go with 45-24, and I think the opposite. I think Oklahoma's going to get off to a great start today. I think Lincoln Riley has this team locked in. And I think Kyler Murray, a lot is being overblown about his nervousness, but do you guys remember when he got in there in West Virginia and tore it up a little bit with that massive run? I think he's going to have similar success. And as I mentioned earlier, he's played very well when he's gotten his opportunity. He finally gets to know that he's the guy today. And he's going to go out there and prove it. He's waited so long to show that he's the guy for the Sooners moving forward. I think that the Sooners are going to go out there led by Kyler Murray and put on a show. I think that Florida Atlantic will put up some points in garbage time. That's why I've got 45-24. But I think Oklahoma's going to get off to a great start today, and it'll be on the backs of Lincoln Riley and Kyler Murray.
I think this is funny. You brought this up a lot today. I think you guys, if you've been watching, you know he said this a lot. But Kyler Murray is averaging a first down when he runs the ball. But it's just that run. What are you talking about?
No,
it's just that one run.
It's A&M.
Okay, at A&M. I was talking about his OU career.
First down every time he goes forward. Okay, cut me some slack.
Okay, I will. But I'm just saying, I was like, I mean, like, I could average a first down if I had like a 90-yard run and like 9 one-yard runs. But whatever.
He's been out there a couple times. Obviously, everyone remembers West Virginia.
Yeah, of course.
He's had success.
He has.
18-21 passing. He's shown flashes.
Yeah.
Don't just
no.
I'm
I'm just saying. I was like, it's not a big sample size right now. Okay, guys. I want to talk about one more thing before we get into it and end the show. Assume I'm just a Sooner fan who has not talked or even looked at anything about OU football for an entire year. I know Baker's gone, but that's it. So, little me who doesn't know anything that's going on, who is the player that I need to watch out for on both sides of the ball? One player, make it quick.
That's hard. I think, man, that's so hard. I'll go back to what I said earlier. Rodney Anderson is going to have a huge year, I feel like, maybe Heisman. And I think him and Kyler together are going to just be an unbelievable duo. I actually think maybe both could end up being like in New York at the end of the season, both. And
really?
Yeah.
That's bold.
Yeah, bold.
Getting into
Hot
bold
take.
predictions today.
Hot take. So I'm looking for Rodney Anderson to have a huge year. Learning this guy's name, he seems to be well known among college football circles, but I don't know how well how well known he is nationally. He will be soon because he is really good. I'll say Rodney.
So I'm going to have an honorable mention. I'm going to say Curtis Bolton as my honorable mention for this.
Good for him, too.
Yeah,
All those injuries and stuff.
He's really shown out. Mike Stoops could not stop talking about him, just how good he's been. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with on defense. But I'm going to go with an interesting pick on that. I'm going to say Austin Seibert.
I love Cyber. It's my guy.
Josh's guy. I know that's kind of unconventional.
He gets a bad rap.
He's a kicker. We don't talk about kickers enough. Shout out Matt Welsh.
He's
we
a
don't
captain.
talk about them enough. He was named a captain. I think he's one of the strong leaders on this team. Last year, he kind of fell off a little bit, missed some important field goals. The one in the Rose Bowl gets forgotten about because Sony Michel's run won the game for Georgia. But I think he can be really good this year. I think he can be really important for this team when they can't quite get in the end zone.
Yeah.
So shout out Austin Seibert.
I'll get my soapbox for a minute.
What's up?
Austin Seibert is a great kicker. I'm tired of the slander.
All right.
He missed 2 kicks last year,
Yeah.
and the first one was a bad hold, and the second one got blocked, which I know is partially his fault, but still, he only missed one legit 0 times. He's the man. And he punts, and he does kickoffs. He does everything. He's the man.
I just want to add to Austin Seibert, this is a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
First of all, he only needs a little over 90 points to become OU's all-time leading scorer.
Exactly. I will not
over
tolerate
Honeycutt and
Seibert
DeMarco
slam.
Murray. He needs 133 points to become the NCAA's all-time leading scorer.
Quick math, Joe. How many field goals is that per game?
What do you think I am? I don't do math.
I got I don't know. It's like 40-something.
40-something people. Be on the watch out for 40-something.
I don't do math.
Think about how special that is. He has a chance to become one of the NCAA's greatest
He's good.
He could be in New York too, right?
Yeah,
of all time.
honestly.
Yeah, all right. Josh is sending everyone to New York, but okay.
Let's wrap this up. Tell me about your players.
My players, I'll go one on offense, one on defense. I'm going to go
let's do
under
this.
the radar because these guys mentioned big-time names. Although I will say Kenneth Murray, you mentioned earlier, that's my guy. He's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger, he's smarter, and he's more confident. Kenneth Murray's going to be special. Trey Sermon, I think, is starting to go into the darkness, and he's becoming a star in the shadows of this OU offense. But I think that Trey Sermon will be special moving forward. This guy looks really, really good. He shaved his baby fat, and now he looks like a brick house. And I think this guy is unbelievable.
He's jacked.
According to some sources, he led the Big 12 in yards after contact. How great is that, especially for a freshman? Now he's bigger and stronger and faster, and he even admitted, yeah, I feel better. Big 12 opponents, make sure you're on the notice because Trey Sermon, I think, will be very, very good moving forward. And then, as I mentioned, Kenneth Murray on the defense a little bit, but the guy that I really want to see moving forward, Neville Gallimore, the big Canadian.
He's had a good offseason.
This guy was heralded by some as a 4- to 5-star recruit coming out of Canada, and when he got here, a lot of people thought he'd be one of the next great defensive tackles at Oklahoma. That hasn't panned out, but he's got one more year, and everyone preaches his athleticism, his strength, and his toughness. He has a chance to be really, really good. He's moving inside of the nose guard, and his athleticism will cause a mismatch problem on every level. I don't think centers or guards will be able to handle him, but it's all up to him to prove it. He's had some injury issues. He's had some problems really fitting in, but this is the year, man. I think that Neville Gallimore could have a great season.
All right.
Don't
Let's
sleep
go
on
on
the
one more
baby
player.
honey badger either. Buki.
Okay, that's true. I mean, we were talking about him earlier. So he has been a pretty touted name right now when we talk about college football, especially with OU. But I want to bring up one more point for OU's team before we wrap things up. And Madeline, just your thoughts on Grant Calcaterra coming into this year.
I mean, I think a lot of people, when Mark Andrews was kind of transitioning out and leaving, they were like, what are we going to do? I mean, we need that big guy who can catch the ball. But last season, he did really well. He really surprised me and impressed me. I think he's been really good and really essential to this offense.
You guys have any quick thoughts?
I mean, let's just get the season going, man.
Yeah.
I'm tired of talking.
It's an hour
about
away.
it.
The countdown's about to begin. The
football, man.
Are we going to see Calcaterra in New York, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, but the 5 guys they invite, the top 5 guys they invite are going to be Kyler, Rodney, Sermon, Hollywood, and Calcaterra.
What about Cyber?
Cyber. We'll 6 this year.
Well, yeah.
All right, guys. That was perfect. I'm so glad football season is back.
Oh
We're
my
an hour
God.
away
Let's
from
go.
OU football. This is phenomenal. But enough talking about it. Thank you guys for tuning into Game Day U. We are so happy to be back. We will see you right here next week. Same time, same people. Can't wait to see you there. Enjoy college football this weekend, guys. Woo!
Ow, hit me in the face.
Let's go!
Like we just trashed the studio.
I didn't throw anything.